Hello everyone, my name is Jackson and today I want to talk to you about human origins. It has been a continual debate about the origins of mankind since we could ever remember. Theologians argue a theological beginning of man, as seen in Genesis 1 and 2, and scientists argue a more scientific background. Today I want to discuss what these origins are and where they come from, and how can we understand them for ourselves and whether they are true. Let's take a step into the reality of faith and science. So what is evolution? When we ask the question, what is evolution, what comes to mind? Do you think of apes or even microorganisms raising out of the sea? Or do you see macroevolution or adaptation? Now macroevolution and microevolution are two different forms of evolution. One is considered by the theological field as to be true, and the other is thought of to be false, because one of them contradicts the biblical origins of mankind. Now, we know that evolution is where organisms adapt to their environment. For example, animals change the color of their skin. They can change what they eat, and other types of adaptation that I don't want to get into right now. According to the Smithsonian National Museum, evolution is the lengthy process of change by which people originate from ape-like ancestors. Now this is microevolution, not macroevolution. According to the Smithsonian, bipedalism is one of the earliest defining traits of human beings, which is where you can walk on two legs. This trait was, according to them, formed 4 million years ago because scientists who hold the idea of evolution, we have been taught that humans are primates. Scientists teach us that we are primates. This is due to us having similar physical and genetic traits with monkeys. It is said that the early humans first migrated out of Africa into Asia between 2 million and 1.8 million years ago. The author continues by stating that the process of evolution involving a series of natural changes that causes species to arise, adapt to the environment, and ultimately become extinct. Now, there are other people, like biologists, who want to understand how modern apes, modern humans, and the various ancestral hominids have evolved from a common ancestor. But, unfortunately, the fossil record is somewhat incomplete as far as the humanids are concerned, and it is all but blank for the apes. Therefore, we don't know for certain. It is a theory. It is theorized that we evolved from monkeys. It isn't enough to go on, but many people believe this form of evolution. Creationism. A creationist is someone who believes in a God, who is the absolute creator of heaven and earth, who creates everything out of nothing by an act of free will. According to Rousseau, Christians, Jews, and Muslims are all creationists in this sense. Generally, they are known as deists, distinguishing them from deists, that is, people who believe that there's a designer who might or might not have created the material on which he or she or it is working, and who does not interfere once the designing act is finished. This is deism. This is where deists don't believe that God interferes into the human lives today. Creationism holds several beliefs that are held frequently, well, despite the increasing numbers of evolutionists in the world. The beliefs include that a short time has elapsed since the beginning of creation. That is the young earth creationism, who holds the belief that the earth is only 6,000 years old. 6 days of creation, literal 6 days of creation. There's a miraculous creation of life, including humans. There was a worldwide flood that happened after the initial creation. And events such as the Tower of Babel or even the turning of Lot's wife into a pillar of salt were considered true. Even though creations have held these beliefs strongly, it has also been loosely translated to actually mean what we believe it to be today. Dating back to St. Augustine around 400 AD, many have held the belief that sometimes the Bible needs not to be taken metaphorically or allegorically. So, when I say that St. Augustine says that the Bible needs to be taken metaphorically, it means that we shouldn't take the Bible literally. But in other Christians, other creationists, we believe that the Bible should be taken literally. St. Augustine himself did not believe so. It wasn't until the Protestant Reformation that the great reformers like Luther and Calvin actually started to stress the importance of Scripture and Scripture alone, and not to take the rich traditions of the Catholic Church. And that's what the problem is that we take tradition over the belief of the Bible. Creationists started to grow increasingly in the beginning of the 20th century, and the first factor were the first systematic attempts to work out a position that would take account of modern science as well as just a literal reading of Genesis. It wasn't until the mid-1920s that the battle between the evolutionists and fundamentalists came to a head in Dayton, Tennessee. This was when a young schoolteacher, John Thomas Scopes, was persecuted for teaching evolution in class, which was a defiance of a state law prohibiting such teaching. The Scopes monkey trial caught the attention of the world in the end, and Scopes was found guilty and was fined $100. This conviction was later overturned by a technicality on appeal. Now we have two creationists. We have Old Earth and New Earth. Old Earth is different than New Earth, and I've spoken a little bit on New Earth, but Old Earth creationists held this idea that the Earth is much older than it should be. When believers try to add into the equation evolution in millions of years to Genesis, they lay down a foundation of death and suffering on which to build their worldview. AnswersInGenesis.org tells us that Genesis is the truth. Now, there are many Christians out there that tell the lie that Genesis can't be trusted, and they're paving a way for the trustworthiness of the gospel message to be called into question. Now, as I end this video, I want to tell you that in my belief as a creationist, I believe the earth is a new earth. It is not millions of years old. We did not evolve from monkeys, and that we should never involve microevolution into creationism. Macro, on the other hand, is much different, and it is scientifically proven. It does happen in nature, and it does happen with us today. Thank you, and I hope you have a blessed day.